Hello and welcome to the AppleInsider Podcast. This is your host, Wes Hilliard, and I'm joined once again by William Gallagher. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Oracle and Notion, and we're going to dive into everything Apple announced this week. It's, heavy lifting, 3-day work week. I'm sure they're very, very exhausted over there. But first, I'd like to mention if you are a paid subscriber, you get this show ad-free, and Apple Insider Plus, we're going to be discussing how we decide to upgrade and basically when we change out our gear, what gear we decide to buy, that kind of thing. Also, Apple had its earnings Thursday. So, William, what are we going to do? It's just doom and gloom. Wow, okay, that creeped up on me. Let's try that again. And Apple had their earnings on Thursday evening, and William, I don't know what to say. It's just doom and gloom. The company, I'm not sure if their trillions of dollars are going to last, but they just did not have a great quarter. Despite Apple Intelligence, despite the iPhone, something went wrong.
Well, in all fairness, Apple Intelligence isn't really out yet. I mean, it kind of, sort of is a bit, but it wasn't in time for this quarter, I imagine. It wasn't in time for the results. So maybe the effect will come in. I don't know. Maybe, in fact, no, it's all over. Apple tried it with Apple Intelligence. It's a dud. And
the AI super cycle is yet to come. We're still waiting.
Yeah. When was the last time there was a super cycle that was predicted that then came true? I think actually 5G at least was more than the average cycle. But even then, I'm doubting it was a super cycle. Has there ever been an iPhone super cycle? Oh, this is getting maudlin now, and all because of their results. What are they doing to us?
Well, Apple had their earnings on Thursday evening, and, well, they predictably did amazing. This is the iPhone quarter, kind of. I think they have, like, a whole 2 weeks of sales, but that is usually enough to take what is usually kind of a dreary summer and turn it into something a little more exciting. I'm sure we're all very excited for Apple to make even more money so they can, continue to not sell Apple Vision Pro globally.
Or bring Apple Card globally, or maybe, hopefully, not put ads on Apple TV Plus. That would be good. Yeah. I'd like that.
Maybe this is enough to convince them.
Yeah, I think we should break down, though, the figures, because that earnings result, the net revenue for the quarter, that is actually more than I earn in a year. And I'm, really quite impressed with that. That's the depth of my financial analysis for it.
Shock and awe.
Yeah, and possibly. It's too much money to be envious of, isn't it? You can't quite conceive.
I'm not even sure if that was Tim Cook on the call. That might have been an AI voice. Do you think Apple Intelligence is doing all the earnings call now?
Okay, you're slightly worrying me. But I've got this rule. I've said it before on this, but if you get AI to do your work for you, I'll just get my AI to read it or listen to it for me. We'll just cut you off completely there. So if it isn't my mate Tim telling us the truth from Apple Park, then I just don't want to know. I feel personally let down.
Bit of a sad one. Last day for Luca Maestri, right? He's not going to be at the next quarterly earnings.
Yes. Isn't it weird? I can barely spell his name. I'm sorry, Luca. And I've obviously never met him. And of course, he's never heard of me. But we've had him around for so long. And we've got so used to how he delivers certain results. That was obviously always very positively. But the certain spin he always puts on it, that, it does feel like a colleague. So I won't go as far as say a friend. That would be.
Do you know who I nominate for the new earnings call?
Is it you?
No, I think it should be the guy from The Price is Right. Yeah. Come on down.
Okay, Tim Cook, come on down. No,
if we're talking about this much money, we need the excitement behind it, right? Just someone really hyping Apple up.
Right, this much money on its own isn't enough excitement for you. I suppose because it's not yours or not mine.
Right.
Yeah, you'd be a bit more thrilled if it were. So, yeah. Okay.
Don't you forget, William, we get checks in the mail for being fanboys.
Oh, I forgot that. It's cool. Mine is listed under bribery in my tax return. Yeah.
So Nintendo's had a fun week. I wanted to bring this up because just little news here for the nerds. I am excited. We have kind of three major announcements ish. The third one's old news, but it's coming soon.
No, wait a second. Hang on. When you said there were three announcements, I assumed you meant, the iMac, the Mac Mini stuff. I haven't the faintest. Nintendo's like a games company, right? Are they? And they're obviously still existing. Sorry, I just haven't heard of them in ages. And they've done three. What a week for people to make three announcements.
Right.
Sorry,
Nintendo,
what have they done?
Nintendo got their start, I believe, like most companies, selling rice and children's toys, and then they evolved into video games. But the Pokemon trading card game is now out on iOS. It is amazing. I'm playing it on my iPad Mini. It is actually, I feel like, the perfect game for an iPad Mini. It is built for it. I know you have no interest in this, William, so we'll move on. But
I have questions. Sorry. Pokemon, heard of them. Pikachu, very cute. I know you apparently you've got to find them all, presumably, or else. I don't quite know why. But the trading, like if I haven't seen it, well, it's going to be Pikachu again because the name's only the others. If I haven't seen Pikachu, but you have, you can basically loan me your site. What is this like? What? Okay.
It's a trading card game. Maybe Magic the Gathering. Does that ring a bell? So, no. All very American. Does the UK have a trading card game? Do you like trade playing cards of the Queen? Like what's...
I know trading card stuff as being definitely American. Things like baseball cards is where I first heard of it. And American kids putting baseball cards in the spokes of their bike wheels or something. I've vaguely heard of that. None of that goes on here. I mean, I'm not a great source because it's vaguely, that's sports related. But no.
I remember a time in my childhood when everything had playing cards. You could buy Dragon Ball Z. They even had like games you could play with them, right? So Pokemon, you battle them, or Magic, you have kind of a duel in the Yu-Gi-Oh parlance or whatever. But like then there's like Dragon Ball Z where you get these cards and you could play them as well. Like there's all these weird offshoots. I wouldn't be surprised if there was playing cards for every major franchise in the early 2000s, just because for some reason I think everyone wanted to capture the Pokemon magic. But now you can capture it in your pocket for free unless you want to pay money for the trading card game. It's really cool. It's actually really well made. It's beautifully done. Very Nintendo. You kind of open your card packs and then you can trade or go into battles and stuff. It's neat. And you don't have to pay any money unless you want to. And they're pretty generous about not making you pay. So if you want my friend code, just reach out to me on Mastodon. Yep, you can add me.
Yeah, I'll rush to do that. I do have more questions, and I'm not in any way dissing Nintendo for it, but it is this whole other world. But that's announcement number one, isn't it? You said there are others.
Yes. Up next is Nintendo Music. This is for you, William. I know you're a big fan of video game music. So now there is a separate app, and this is huge for me. I love this. This is a great concept. It's a little annoying that it's not like a feature of Apple Music, but I get it. Nintendo wants their own proprietary streaming service. You get it through the Nintendo Online subscription, which is relatively inexpensive. I can't remember the price off the top of my head, but it's something like along the lines of $50 a year. You get access to multiplayer and everything, but you also get this now. It actually honestly makes the subscription more worth it. But anyway, you can install this on iOS and Android and play music from generations of video games. They're adding more all the time. But the key here is it's not just a music player. They're really leaning into human curation. This is a very Apple thing, and Nintendo's always kind of emulated Apple in this way. They're never first to anything. They don't care about being... They just care about making sure the customer gets a good experience. So they'll make a Legend of Zelda game as on this console that's 7 years old, but they'll still make it one of the best games ever, even though they don't have the latest technology in it. Like, they're just really good at that kind of stuff. This music app is made with a bunch of playlists based on characters. You can listen to a Bowser-inspired playlist, or they have like sleep playlists and stuff. But the two unique features to this app, the first one is you can toggle spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled for a video game you haven't played yet, you can say, hey, do not play spoilery music from this game, and it won't in the shuffle or in the playlist, which is excellent.
Nice. Yeah.
And option 2, which I think is incredible, is in many, many songs, you can go to this little toggle at the bottom and say, play the 15-minute version of this song, play the 1 hour version of this song. So if you want to listen to the Wii Shop channel music for 1 hour straight, there is now a way to do it.
Do you know, I actually remember waking up one morning with the theme to Lemmings in my head from, so long ago for it. That was not a happy dream I came out of. I wouldn't know the music because I don't happen to play games, but I have friends who write them. And I had quite, before streaming, I had quite a large collection of soundtrack albums from films and things. And I love the way that films were kind of the modern day version of symphonies. Most symphonic music is that way now. So I imagine that this is brilliant, especially if you know any of the stuff. So, okay.
Even better, I wanted to bring it up is because it honestly it's going to be killer for ambient music, sleep music. There's just so much audio in Nintendo games and consoles that work in that environment, right? Like there's this people who have owned a Wii console know this, but there's this little like kind of wind and bells jingle on the home screen of the Wii that if you left it on in another room, it would just play this little little jingle. You can just play that for hours straight now and just fall asleep to it if you want to. I'm excited for this. They don't have a lot of my personal favorites. Like they have the latest Zelda and Pokemon games, but they're going to have to add the older ones in because I want to listen to Little Root Town on repeat. But moving on, it's awesome. I think the Apple side of this is I listen to video game music in Apple Music, but it ruins the algorithm. If you listen to one video game soundtrack or jazz rendition or anything, that is all you'll be recommended until the end of time, unless you've toggled off your recommendation engine, which is such a chore. I wish I could shortcut this or honestly, really, Apple, I'll say it again, give me the option to say, do not use this album, do not use this playlist for my recommendation engine. Just let me have a single toggle under the hamburger menu throughout Apple Music. That's it.
A kind of private browsing mode for music, although I'd never remember to switch it back on again.
Just per album toggle, honestly. Just you can thumbs up, you can thumbs down, you can say never recommend anything like this. And that's all I want. And finally, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp is getting its complete edition, so to speak. No online mode, no in-app purchases. It is just the Animal Crossing Pocket Camp experience we all love without the microtransactions. That's cool if you like Animal Crossing. If you played this game 7 years ago, they are ending the online service, but they're giving you the ability to play it forever for only $10.
Okay.
And now to the important news.
Has someone else been launching things or shutting things down this week?
Yes, PlayStation. No, this is not a video game podcast. We're getting to our week of Macs, where Apple announced that you will soon be able to play the video game. No, I'm just joking.
Sorry, a week of Macs. Mark your calendars for an exciting week, 3-day week. But, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. As we record this, who knows? We record programs on Thursday, so they come out early Friday morning. Even as we speak, Apple might actually be sneaking out some other Mac-related thing. But we know it isn't a Mac product. They explicitly said it isn't.
I was hoping for an Apple
Care
TV
for
or
Mac?
something.
Well, I was hoping for a Mac Studio, but I think actually we've kind of got one in the new Mac Mini. And I'm very excited about Final Cut Pro, the new updates to that, whenever that's coming. They just kind of slid that by us at one point. But sorry, I'm jumping ahead. You were about to say serious stuff.
Yes. So, maybe the 4th day is earnings and the 5th day is Tim Cook resigning. We don't know. But we have 3 days of announcements. Day 1, predictably, the iMac. There's new colors. I think they're the same colors. Like if you name the colors, they're the same names, but they're new vibrancies. So that and the M4 chip and a 12 megapixel webcam with center stage and nano texture as an option. That is the update. That is everything. So easy peasy. Moving on. Tuesday. Now we can skip over that. Wednesday, there's the MacBook Pro. We'll get to it. Because these are the easier ones. The MacBook Pro got the M4 M4 Pro and M4 Max, predictably. Space black all the way around. The Russians must have had real products.
I'd forgotten about that. Yes, it's true then. Okay.
3 Thunderbolt 4 ports and the base M4 model. Then you get Thunderbolt 5 for the M4 Pro and M4 Max. That would have been the real scoop, but they did not get those models.
So I'm sorry, you may have just heard me laugh there. I cannot help it. Whenever somebody says, Thunderbolt 5 and things, I hear Thunderbird 5, the Jerry Anderson thing, and I just cannot disconnect the two. So I just get highly tickled. I mean, presumably the next one is Thunderbolt 6, so there was a Thunderbird 6. All right, when we get to Thunderbolt 7, maybe I'll stop being quite so silly about it. But for now, giggles. Okay, yeah.
Another webcam improvement, 12 megapixel up from the HD one before, I suppose. Because before it was just garbage, VGA basically format webcam. I don't know, 480i or what. I don't even know anymore, but it was just bad. And then we moved to the 1080p capable webcams, and now we're at 12 megapixel, which is just to imply, quote unquote, kind of 4K. It's still going to capture you at 1080. It's just a much better 1080. It's going to be more pixel dense, brighter, better. Also, nano texture available on the MacBook Pros. Like I said, the M4, M4 Pro, M4 Max, Thunderbolt 5. That's pretty much it, correct?
I believe so. Actually, I'd missed that the camera was improved on it. That's quite good.
I may be making that up, but I'm pretty sure both the iMac and the MacBook got improved cameras. Scrolling through our compare. 12 megapixel center stage camera with desk view. Yep, that is upgraded as well.
Great. Were you surprised about the nano texture bit?
I was not, but because, I mean, if you're bringing it to iPad, I feel like it'll be good for portables. But I did have someone actually ask me today, M4 MacBook Air in the spring, correct? Will we be seeing nano texture on that device? I think no, because Apple is treating nano texture as a pro feature. So MacBook Pro, and I understand the iMac isn't a pro computer, but it also replaced what used to be a pro computer. There's no more 27-inch iMac, no more iMac Pro. So that makes sense, but I can't see the MacBook Air because the iPad Air also did not get nano texture. Yeah. Apple's going to say just buy a MacBook Pro. And I think the distinction here is the M4 base MacBook Pro you can buy, you can put nano texture on. So I think that's the key here.
Right. It feels like they need to keep some clear differentiation between the Air and the Pro, and that's a seemingly obvious one.
Yes, and display support across the line is better. So, two displays to the M4, 3 displays M4 Pro, and you can have 2 displays on the iMac, and now finally to the important update that everyone was anxious for: USB-C on Magic accessories. Right?
I thought they'd build up to that. I actually thought that was going to be the Thursday and Friday thing. Right. Friday the trackpad, Thursday the keyboard, but no, they just chucked it at us. Well, actually, I wonder about, as a writing thing, their choice of when they chose to show what. I mean, last year, I seem to remember, I can't remember which product it was, there was a launch video with it that looked like it had been part of a bigger event and they just cut it out and did it. This time it very clearly built to be 3 short product video launches. But I would have thought you'd build up to the Mac Mini as the last one because it was the most dramatic change. Or maybe you'd start with that one. But having it in the middle and kind of bookended, I was surprised.
Did you notice the Apple Intelligence portion was the same in all 3?
No, I did not.
Not clip for clip. They just went over. It was like you could probably play them side by side, and it would almost beat for beat be the same section.
Right. Okay, they're quite keen on Apple Intelligence. Actually, do you know, I'm becoming more keen because I lost it for some reason. I suddenly didn't have the inbox summary in mails, and I realized I missed that. And then I have an iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I'm struggling to get used to the shutter, the camera control button. I keep forgetting that it's there, except I had to take a photograph of something, a measurement of something, and instead of doing that, it told me what the thing was. I triggered visual intelligence. And since I've done that, I've been doing that a ridiculous amount of times for it, and I'm getting to like it.
We'll have time for Apple's intelligent stuff later, but first, William, are you upset at the USB-C port location on the Magic Mouse?
No.
It's the most dreadful thing in the world. Everyone, like, I love that, honestly. So this is a positive thing, I think, because out of a week of announcements of all these beloved products, the only thing people are complaining about is the location of a power button and the location of a USB port.
Yes. I have, I mean, for 9 years now, I wouldn't have been able to tell you 2 days ago, it's 9 years ago, but I looked into it. 9 years that the Magic Mouse 2, I think is a proper term for it, has had a charging port on the bottom. And that means for 9 years people have been complaining, and for 9 years I have not been able to give a, what's the word I can say? So I have not been able to give a care about this because I have this thing that if your work is so time critical that you cannot take 2 to 3 minutes to charge it, you can't take a coffee break and let it charge up enough to take the rest of the day, then you should be more conscious of the fact that you've been ignoring all the low battery warnings for weeks. Somebody actually commented that on their mouse they don't get the warnings ahead. I do on my Magic Trackpad, but
even if it's dead, even if it's completely gone, you plug it in for plug it in, go get a snack, use the bathroom, come back. You have enough there to get through 2 weeks. Honestly, because it's such a small battery and it can charge at a good enough speed that it gets plenty there. And then, get through the rest of your shift and remember, okay, plug it in. And then when you come back the next day, it'll be full and you don't have to do it for a month. It's just such a non-issue. It's so funny to me.
What I think. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Like, it's just so silly. But anyway, USB-C in these products, great. I'm not going to rush out and buy them. Next time I'm in an Apple store and I see one, I might pick one up just to have it. But cool. But finally, I want to get to the main event. Tuesday, we got the new Mac Mini, which is not really a miniature Mac Mini. It's a Mac Studio made smaller, if that makes sense.
That's what I thought. Yes. Somebody was saying they thought it looked just like some sort of USB hub or something. I think, no, it's a shrunk down Mac Studio, and that's part of why I always fancied a Mac Studio, so I'm highly tempted by this. But interesting that you call it the main event when Apple built up to the MacBook Pro, and I imagine the MacBook Pro sells the most of anything for it. So in Apple's mind, that should be the big ta-da. But I agree with you, the Mac Mini, because it's the one that had the most visible changes, isn't it, really? Perhaps that's it.
It's not that. I mean, the visual design, of course, is a good change. I'm not going to, come on here last week and say iPad Mini not having a change isn't important, and then say how important it is in the Mac Mini, because that would be very silly. No, I think the visual change and the size change is all important for this product. The move to Apple Silicon, we were not utilizing that case design properly at all. Like, it was a quarter filled and just air. Otherwise, very poor design for many years from Apple to continue doing that. So I'm glad to see that they're optimizing for this. I think this is the most important of the three because it's such a good Mac that the Mac Mini was kind of what you would say languishing a little bit. We've had the same design for so long, the same sort of it's kind of in the product line. We'll upgrade it every few years, and it just didn't really ever get that Apple Silicon makeover that every other Mac got. So, other than the Mac Pro, so the question was, what does Apple see in the Mac Mini? Is it just going to slowly languish until it's gone? And I think this was just a reaffirmation. No, this is a product that we love and want to continue to support. And it's their first carbon neutral Mac, which is very important for their 2030 goals. It has 3 Thunderbolt ports that can be 4 or 5 based on the M4 or M4 Pro, HDMI, Ethernet, and an audio jack. So honestly, the perfect amount of ports. You can always plug in a hub if you need more. And this guy is just so small. You can set it on the foot of your studio display and just have it.
I didn't know
that. It's that size. It's perfect. It's 5 by 5 inches and 2 inches tall. I really like this thing. I think I'm going to try to sell my MacBook Pro and M1 Pro for a reasonable amount of money and buy one of these in some kind of. I haven't made a decision on whether I want M4 or M4 Pro yet, but I do want to get one of these.
I can't remember the years now, but there was a long patch when it looked like the Mac Mini was dead. I remember reading AppleInsider, actually, articles pointing out that Intel's kind of Mac Mini knockoffs were now dramatically more powerful and possibly cheap, I'm not sure now. And then suddenly Apple came out with new ones, and then again, this does feel a little bit like we've been in another interregnum. But remember, the Mac Mini was the very first Apple Silicon thing. The developer kit was a Mac Mini. Then the first one came out. I agree with you about the wasted space, but it's never bothered me because it was already small. So in fact, when John Turnus pulled the sheet away and we saw what from Beat looked like the new Mac Mini, I thought, well, it's still small. And then he took that away and revealed the new, smaller one underneath it. So I was more pleased, but I still think small machine, it's nice. But you're right about it not getting the love because everything else initially kept the same design as Intel, almost like they wanted to show you it was still a Mac, it was still this, and then got a nice redesign, especially the MacBook Air or the iMac and things, and it didn't have that until now. So, yeah, that completes the set, and of all of them, it is the one I really fancy. This episode is brought to you by Oracle. AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested, so buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power, so how do you compete without costs spiralling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8 and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/AppleInsider. That's oracle.com/AppleInsider. oracle.com/AppleInsider. And thanks to Oracle for supporting the Apple Insider podcast. This episode is brought to you by Notion. There's no shortage of helpful AI tools out there, but using them means switching back and forth between yet another digital tool. So instead of simplifying your workflow, it just becomes more complicated. Unless, of course, you're in Notion. The new Notion AI is a single AI tool that does it all. Search across Notion and other apps, generate docs in your own style, analyze PDFs and images, and chat with you about anything. Notion is the perfect place to organize your tasks, track your habits, write beautiful docs, and collaborate with your team. And the more content you add to Notion, the more Notion AI can personalize its responses for you. Unlike generic chatbots, Notion AI already has the context of your work. Notion AI is connected to multiple knowledge sources. It uses AI knowledge from GPT-4 and Claude to chat with you about any topic. It can search across thousands of Notion docs in seconds to quickly answer any question. And with AI connectors now in beta, Notion AI can search across Slack discussions, Google Docs, Google Sheets and Slides, and more tools like GitHub and Jira. They're coming soon. Unlike other specialized tools or legacy suites that have you bouncing between 6 different apps, Notion is seamlessly integrated, infinitely flexible, and beautifully easy to use, so you are empowered to do your most meaningful work. Notion AI is also designed to protect your privacy. Notion AI's partners are contractually prohibited from using your data to train their AI models, and Notion AI respects the permissions of your content, so it will only reference content that you have access to. Notion is used by over half of Fortune 500 companies, and teams that use Notion send less email, cancel more meetings, save time searching for their work, and reduce spending on tools, which helps keep everyone on the same page. Try Notion for free when you go to notion.com/AppleInsider. That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/AppleInsider to try the powerful, easy to use Notion AI today. And when you use our link, you're supporting our show. Notion.com/AppleInsider. And thanks to Notion for supporting the Apple Insider podcast.
Someone will make, maybe Satechi, I don't know, that someone's going to make a battery base for this, no doubt in my mind, and turn it into this little portable guy that you can just slap down on a table, put on Apple Vision Pro, and just have a, 40-foot wide Mac display in your cafe while you work on Apple Vision Pro. I understand that maybe a MacBook would be more efficient at that, but honestly, for me, as a Vision Pro user and how I use my products, and I default to iPad Pro for a lot of my work, I'm just not using my MacBook Pro as a MacBook. I'm not using the display at all. It's a beautiful, amazing display. I'm just not getting anything out of it. So for me, having a portable Mac that does not have a monitor is desirable. It's very useful to me. Even if I wasn't using it with Vision Pro, I can still use Sidecar with my iPad if I want to. If I really needed macOS for some reason, it's just a really cool idea. I know Apple didn't lean into the portability of it, but this thing can slip into your backpack without too much trouble. And there are battery packs out there that are a reasonable size that have AC outlets in them, and you can buy, because Apple uses the Figure 8 ancient basic AC plug. It's not anything fancy. You can buy a AC to wall outlet that's like a quarter of an inch long, plug it into one of these batteries, and just, there you go. Like, you don't need a bespoke base for it. I would like to see one, but there's ways to do this now that you can come out of the box next week when they ship and just have a portable Mac Mini ready to go for your Vision Pro setup or what have you. And I think that's just really exciting.
A very important point to make at this stage is that everyone needs Mac OS. Okay, let's just be clear on that. And the current Mac Mini,
I need it right now.
Yes, I have actually taken my current Mac Mini away from my office. I plugged it once into a hotel TV set, and it was great. For it, embarrassing reasons, I had to take it somewhere because of two-factor authentication only working on this one machine, and who knows why. And there it was a bit kludgy trying to run an iPad for it, but it all worked. So this being smaller, the battery, it never occurred to me, but it's an excellent idea. Except, wouldn't you as a Vision Pro user want Vision Pro to be better rather than to have it still relying on having a good Mac with you?
Well, again, it's just mostly for these types of use cases. I mean, I want more stuff in Apple Vision Pro, but having access to this is we talked about this a while back, but there's this idea that I had that, Apple Vision Pro shipping with the M2 processor, correct? That's all fine and good. It's going to be a good processor for years to come. But by the time we get Vision Pro 2 in 2027, the M2 is going to be lagging behind. But if there's complex tasks, rendering tasks, what have you, you can always just grab a Mac that can do it with the most modern chip. Now I have access to an M4 or M4 Pro processor in my Vision Pro to get that kind of work done. It's weird to explain in this way, but Vision Pro is two devices in one. It's a computer on its own, like an iPad, where it has its own brains that you can run your photo applications. You can do everything you're going to do that you would do on an iPad inside of this virtual environment, and have all these floating windows and its own Vision OS UI, all of that stuff, spatial computing, all of that. Yes, but there's also a display component to it where Apple Vision Pro can just be your Mac's display, and it's the biggest, most high-resolution display you can own, and you just wear it on your face instead of having to have a cinema display attached to the side of your house. So it has its own utility in its own way. It's so when it's being used as a Vision Pro and Vision OS, it's performing one task, but it can also easily switch paradigms and become that monitor or do both at once. Right now in this podcast, I have Apple Notes, Safari, and Mac OS open and Windows floating in front of me. Right? I can't easily achieve the same without multiple displays or a weird desk configuration. And then again, we run back into, well, now I'm just talking into glass displays and having my voice reverberate off of the glass. So it's just, it's a unique use case. I think Apple Vision Pro holds its own. I don't really want to have to use Mac OS. I'd love to record podcasts from my iPad or heck, even Vision Pro. I don't think that'll ever happen. I can't attach a microphone to it. But I think that it has its specific use cases that are unique to its platform. So having a portable Mac Mini also would be excellent because of my use cases in my office. I record from this side of my desk in my office, from my main desk for the Apple Insider Podcast, because it's where my microphone setup is. It's my whole desk setup with Vision Pro on and all of that. But when I do the HomeKit Insider Podcast, I move to the photography table across the room so that my backdrop is my office, is my working desk and iPad and all of that. Because my backdrop...
So, no, hang on. You're telling me you put more effort into HomeKit Insider. I comb my hair for this one. But okay, right. So,
well, I'm on video, you know. So the backdrop for that, from this side of the room, is kind of dull and empty and wooden walls and weird door, and it's just ugly on this side of the room. So I move over there so you have a better backdrop for the HomeKit Insider Podcast. Right. And I can do that with a MacBook pretty easily. A Mac Mini would have to power down completely, be moved, powered back up, and plugged into its own thing. So again, having that attached to a portable battery would eliminate the need to do all the boot cycles and stuff. I could just pop it off of its charging port on the desk, plug it into a charging port over there. Bam, I am now set up for my podcast. Right, there's many use cases for this kind of setup, and I'm excited to test it out.
But at the moment, doesn't it, until there are such convenient batteries and things, does it not seem better to stick with your MacBook Pro?
Again, I can achieve similar without bespoke parts now, but I'm also kind of rethinking my office setup a little bit around my recent purchases. I'm trying to rely less, like the new iPad Mini, for example. Previously, the iPad Mini 6, it was aging, and I knew the new one would come out any time, and that was about a year and a half ago when I said that, so funny. Right. But yes. I was like, well, I really need a way to show that I'm in Slack, because we don't really use that. It's not like we get punished or anything if our dot goes off. It's just useful to show that you're online, and you can't do that from an iPad, because the minute you leave Slack to any other window, even in Stage Manager, your dot turns off. And that's not necessarily true of Macs, because if you're running Slack, it's running, and you can leave it in the background, and it's still running, and your green dot stays on. There's ways to do it.
While I leave the office to go read a book or something, Slack is telling everybody, no, he's still there. He's still working. Yeah. It's good. Right. We're revealing a lot about ourselves here, aren't we? But
you have to intentionally close Slack or turn off your dot if you're running it in a desktop application.
Sorry, a sudden throwback to The Simpsons and Homer Simpson working from home and finding out that all he had to do was type yes into his keyboard every few minutes. And then later on, found all he had to do was press the Y key. So he was 3 times as productive. And by the end of the episode, he had one of those dipping toy things that would just press Y every now and again randomly for him.
Yeah,
okay, I'm off on that.
I needed a way to keep my Slack dot on. So for the last year, some people might be hurt by this. I have just had my iPad Mini 6 on its little magnetic stand on my desk with Slack open. I turned my brightness all the way down. I didn't want to burn anything in. Never had any issues. The only thing that it might have done was degrade my battery slightly faster. But overall, I would just use the iPad Mini to be my Slack machine. And I've decided I don't want to do that with the iPad Mini 7, just for multiple reasons. So I've delegated that task to my Mac on my bookshelf. So I now come in, I shake the magic mouse, I feel a tap on my wrist showing that the Mac has woken up on the bookshelf, and Slack is now running, and I don't have to do anything. So the only thing I'm burning now is a portable monitor that I don't care about. So
okay.
So now the Mac has a job. William, aren't you happy?
Yeah, but a job where you don't go near it, where you don't touch the keyboards, we don't do anything, it's like cruelty to Max. It can do so much, and it just sits there like a clock or something. Oh, it's just wrong.
Are you going to get the new Mac Mini?
I seriously looked into it. I was costing out the amount, but I'm right now. I'm not sure. I know I just want one, which is just a bad thing. But I mean, actually, the kind of thing we'll talk about in AppleInsider Plus today. But running through how much I use my Office Mac Mini and my MacBook Pro, trying to work out what I can justify for it. I'm surprised I have no interest in the new MacBook Pro. I love what I've got, but with the Mac Mini, yeah, I'm starting to see some creaks. So I'm highly, highly tempted, but right this minute, I haven't pushed the button. No, I've come very close to it. But yeah.
One last little update. Apple pushed all the baseline RAM situations of every MacBook to 16 gigs.
Yeah.
So the MacBook Air that is still for sale is now baseline 16 gigs, no price change. So you got a little bit of a discount, more or less. So that's cool. And I suppose we'll be seeing the M4 MacBook Air sometime in the spring. But otherwise, yeah, that was the week of Macs.
I feel bad, since we talked about it for quite a lot now, particularly the Mac Mini, and I really like the Mac Mini, and I think the iMac is an absolutely superb computer. I think of all the things, if you were buying a new computer, if you had no Mac before, I think the iMac's probably the one to go for. It still feels less exciting than Apple made it sound like it was going to be.
All-in-one computers are kind of dead, William. I mean, I like the iMac. I would own one just because it's beautiful, and I would put it in my living room somewhere and never use it. But the iMac it's such a great concept of a machine. It felt very of its time. These all-in-one style machines were at their peak somewhere around 2014, 2015, and they've slowly disappeared because when you tie everything to this kind of desktop system, you eliminate choice, and some people like that, but I think fewer and fewer people like that. More people are buying MacBooks and attaching them to external monitors because previously, in order to get real power, and I think the reason why all-in-ones became so popular is because you needed a desktop, but no one really wanted those towers. They're just ugly, so they went for the desktop iMacs, and they were powerful. You can get the i7 with the GPUs and attach an external GPU and do all this stuff with it, make this super powerful, kind of sleek looking desktop Mac. But once we shifted to Apple Silicon, all of those things changed. Now you can have as much power, if not more, now more actually, in a MacBook Pro than in an iMac. So Apple took the computer out of the iMac and sold it as the studio display and said, okay, if you really want an iMac display, here you go, hook it up to your MacBook Pro, and that'll be the brains. And then you just swap out the MacBook every couple of years, and now you have a portable Mac that can also act as a desktop that is more powerful than any other Mac desktop other than the most high-end Ultra chips. And you have a studio display that can be as good, if not better, than an iMac display because it's 5K, not 4.5. Or if you want to take all of that thought out of it, and you don't need a portable Mac, there's still the iMac, but that niche is getting smaller and smaller by the years.
But financially, you get a very powerful computer, and it's not like the screen's completely free, but it feels like it. I seem to remember doing something where I was costing out different versions, and I looked at the price of a monitor that was at least the equal of the iMac one, and they were always so expensive for it. It felt like the iMac is a bargain to me.
If you ever wanted to figure out why the iMac costs, I believe, $12.99 at the start,
yeah,
look at the Mac Mini. The Mac Mini is just the iMac without a display. So the Mac Mini starts at $5.99, and the iMac starts at $12.99. That is a $700 difference, and you're pretty much paying for the display in that difference.
Well, there's also Mac Mini does have speakers. I'd forgotten that, but it doesn't have a microphone, doesn't have a camera, and things.
There's
so
some periphery,
bits, but
that camera costs $4. That's not the display is the most expensive part of the iMac. Absolutely.
It's a very nice display, though. I have an extremely wide monitor, 49-inch wide monitor, and I love that width, but the picture quality on it it's better than the monitors I've ever had before, so that's good. But when I go into an Apple store, I can't look at an iMac. Actually, I can't look at any of the monitors there because they're so much nicer.
I'm excited for you to get the Apple Vision Pro, so you can recreate your ultra wide monitor in 4K on that display.
Okay.
I did want to put out an honorable mention. So John Prosser did make a pre-keynote event video, which was entertaining on its own. No hate on Prosser. He did his thing. He had his time in the spotlight. He withdrew quietly but very swiftly away from rumors after a few bad eggs, and I think he should keep it that way. If he wants to report Apple News, great. There's always room for more. But he decided to have some fun. He's been doing these video productions, and his video production quality has been good. So, again, no knocks against that. But I did want to point out that his prediction video was just hilariously off on the design of the Mac Mini. So, again, he is not in the rumor game. He just made a Mac Mini based off of some ancient rumors that he used to peddle with, like, this barrel power port, and there was no Ethernet port on it. I just wanted to point out just how very, very wrong that was, but still an entertaining if you enjoy his kind of content video.
Nice qualifier, didn't it? I actually wrote a piece in AppleInsider kind of standing it up so you could just see it, and it described it was one joke done over and over. And somebody actually, I can't remember what it was now, somebody said it was hilarious how I overanalyzed John Prosser's jokes, and I'm thinking I didn't overanalyze it, I was just kind.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine, like walking out with the Tim Cook outfit and a wig. I mean, sure,
that worked.
It's its own form of internet video. He is part of what he calls the Toilet Squad. So if that tells you anything about his humor, there you go. I'm not a fan. Okay. I don't really watch YouTube, so this is just incredibly not my wheelhouse. But this type of internet is just not my internet.
I mean, it's very successful, very popular. I mean, he would do actually, I thought, a really spot-on Tim Cook impression, and then say something that Cook wouldn't, which is obviously part of the job. I'm overanalyzing again. But it would be, the M4 is the best chippy Apple's ever shippy, and it's okay. I don't know. It just doesn't work for me, but obviously does for other people, so what do I know? As long as you're happy.
We'll have time to get into all of the Macs as they launch and ship next week. I don't know that I'm going to have a Mac Mini on release day, but I'm going to buy one soon. I have my MacBook Pro for sale. I'm going to see how that does and then make decisions from there. But I do intend on switching, just not because the M1 Pro is starting to slow. Honestly, I could probably use this MacBook Pro for another 5 years and not even notice a difference, because I'm just using it to record podcasts and kind of get macOS screenshots. So as long as it's supported in macOS, I would continue using it. But I'm just mostly interested in the opportunity offered by a smaller Mac Mini and what that might provide. And, maybe I'll download a GameCube emulator or something. That'll be fun. But
sorry, kind of like red alert here. You are selling your MacBook Pro before you bought the Mac Mini. Is there going to be a patch where you don't have a Mac at all?
No. That's silly.
That'd be cruelty. That would be, yes.
Well, the Mac Mini launches, I want to say November 5th, Election Day for some reason. So
available from the 8th. That's when shipping
the 8th.
is.
So okay, so they dodged it. Exactly. So next Friday they're launching the Mac Mini. If I've sold it by then, fine. But I will be able to record a podcast. William, don't worry.
Okay. Oh, do you know, I was actually thinking of you being bereft of a Mac for an hour, even would have been bad.
Oh,
but also, you've got to move. Well, I was going to say you've got to move all your stuff off the MacBook Pro onto the Mac Mini, but it doesn't sound like you've got anything on the MacBook Pro.
I literally would just set it up as new and turn on Apple iCloud, and then I would be done. Yeah.
Okay.
No, so moving on, we have a few updates to discuss. Apple released Apple Intelligence via iOS 18.1 and the rest last Monday.
Yeah. Excited?
Happy?
Surprisingly more interested than I thought I would be. That's hard to explain. I can account for it because I switched between doing a couple of Macs, one's on the beta, one's not. I had I don't know what I did wrong, but at some point I suddenly didn't have the inbox summaries in Mail, and I realised I missed it. I thought, actually, this is something I like. And then there were just odds and ends. Like, I've been having trouble with the camera control button on the iPhone. I've taken the camera button off the front screen, so I have to press a button for it. But my finger keeps not finding it. And then I had to take a meter reading outside the house. And I thought, take a photograph of it, and instead of taking the photograph, I did something that meant it came up with a screen telling me what a meter was for it. I triggered visual intelligence, and once I found that, well, what am I like? Advanced kind of thing. But I'm really, really into visual intelligence now, and that's making me think fondly of all Apple Intelligence, except I had thought I had no interest in the image playground. Nice if you like that kind of thing, but I don't. But I got access to it last night as we record this, and so far it has made an absolutely gorgeous image of Angela, my wife, and an absolutely horrendous series of images of me. I asked it to show me a cup of tea, and you wouldn't drink what it showed you, so I'm mixed.
Well, we'll get into 18.2 first because you seem keen to talk about it.
I honestly get very mixed up over what's where and things, and I have different betas on different machines, and I'd like it to all just, come out.
It's going to be like this. Yeah, it's going to be like this for the next year. So 18.2 beta arrived a couple of days before 18.1. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it on the last show because it was kind of rolling out and not really available. I have access to Image Playground as well. It is interesting. So I've talked a lot on the show about Apple Intelligence and how at first the initial launch was about taking content people had and manipulating it. And last week I did get to play with 18.2 in the show. We had some poems generated from content that I had written, but it was still the same. It was still the same ideology of here's content you had. We're going to convert it in some way using Apple Intelligence. Now, Genmoji and Image Playground are the first instance of Apple using pure generative technology. Now, so creating something from nothing. You can use so Genmoji, by the way, uses nothing except for your input. You don't get to add images or people to it. It's just I want a cat and a pumpkin, and it will make that. Whether it's horrific or not, it will make that. So Genmoji, fine. Honestly, I think that's a good use of generative technology in the way of it's harmless. I wasn't going to hire an artist to create bespoke emoji for me to send in my group chat. This is just something that is playful and fun, and it exists in the operating system, and people understand what emoji are. It can't hallucinate or create misinformation or kill anyone. We might be writing an article next week about how Genmoji literally killed someone, but fine. I think that is actually a very good use of Apple Intelligence as far as generative technologies go. Then you get to Image Play. So I don't want to spend much time on that. So we get to Image Playground. It has a text field. You can just type in text and say, I tried the same thing I did with ChatGPT last week. I used Siri through ChatGPT to tell it to create an image of a dinosaur working in an Apple store. And it did it, and it was fine. It was a silly image. Same thing in Image Playground. And I got a cartoony looking, green dinosaur you can imagine, kind of what you would see in a, toothbrush ad where it's brushing its teeth or something. That comes to mind for some reason. American commercials. So there is standing in what you would call an Apple store, only by parlance because it's a store that sells apples, the fruit. So it has no... So Image Playground has no what Apple calls world intelligence. So it doesn't even know about Apple. It doesn't know about the company. It doesn't know about iPhones. It can generate nothing related to quote unquote the world. So when you tell it something, it's going to generate it based on its basic understanding, like dictionary understanding of terms and words and ideas.
I think that's terribly interesting because usually, I think a nice way to phrase this, it's not like Apple's up itself, but if you are trying to write about actual apples, the things you eat, autocorrection tries to capitalize it, thinking it must be talking about Apple. What else could you be talking about? And to have them not do it. I tried to search for Apple Park. I had this idea that the chapter art for this week's podcast, that every image would be done the image playground. And Apple Park, it did what you said. It was like a park and had an apple in it. There was no connection to this. Plus, it really cannot draw a cup of tea at all. But you're sounding actually more positive about it than I am. And I think that's because it's done a nice image of you when it wouldn't do a nice image of me. So it's personal. That's what it is.
There are things like you can say smartphone, and it looks like an iPhone SE 8 and iPhone 14. So maybe Apple leaked their new iPhone SE. I'm not sure. No,
right.
It's very early generation. So people they love saying Apple is behind, which whatever. We got into that last week. People kept saying this looks like the early generation image generation tools released by OpenAI, which I concur to an extent, but it's not that though. It is. Apple has a very intentional style that they're going for, and there's only two options available right now. There is illustration and there's animation. Yeah. I found that the animation one is Pixar adjacent and on purpose. If people have very short memories, so going back to the original image generation tools, it was random. You'd tell it to make something, and you could try to give it a style, but sometimes it would just ignore you, and it would be whatever style it felt like. Apple, it just cannot do that. You cannot give it a different style. It will only do the styles that it has. The illustrations are very Western. You can't tell it to make an anime image, for example. You're very, very slim down to a very specific set of things, and you can't do anything too specific. So Image Playground right now in its infancy is basically you can create these little shoulder-up avatars of people and pets. But the pets is even more broken. If you give it a cat, it will not copy the pattern of the cat. It will just make a cat image, or the same thing with a dog or a bird or anything like that. It's not taking anything like that from the image, because I don't think it's looking more structural than it is pattern. And I think Image Playground has a people focus. It can make just generic backgrounds and images, like you can say Halloween haunted house, and it will just make a haunted looking house or whatever. But you can't say make Washington D.C. It'll make a generic looking, political building. So the tool itself, I've come to the conclusion, is a good proof of concept. It's not meant for anything. I don't really understand what you're supposed to be using it for. I know Apple's advertising it as being useful for certain things, but I think it is a proof of concept the same way Memoji and Animoji were. Memoji and Animoji, some aunt somewhere still uses them, I'm sure, but they were a amazing technical proof of concept of Apple's 3D dot scanner for the Face ID system. And when iPhone 10 came out, it was just an amazing way to promote those phones. The commercials were great. People loved it. It created a lot of memes. Animoji karaoke was actually kind of fun. And I think it did a really good job of showing how advanced that technology that we saw in the Microsoft Kinect so many years ago advanced into this little dot display on the iPhone. And not Genmoji, because that actually seems useful. People are actually going to use that. Image Playground, I think, is another proof of concept. It doesn't really serve a purpose. People are jokingly making images now. They're going to, their friends and being like, look what you look like with Apple's tool. But they're not genuinely using this like, I'm going to make a birthday card with this. It's like, that's not actually happening. And I think Apple knows that. They just wanted to show that they could do it. And they can. They're actually doing a good job. Apple is taking my collection of images of myself and making a representation of me, either in the Pixar format and honestly, the illustration format is way better at capturing intricate details of people. It is almost cartoonified in a way that a caricature is, but it does an excellent job. It's even better than the animation style, even though animation might be, I don't know, prettier to look at. What have your takes been so far, William?
I'm surprised that I keep using it. Keep thinking, well, what will I do with this? I know it's new toy-itis at the moment, very new Toyotas. But I'm interested that you said that about Memoji and things. 'Cause I just thought I'm the only one who doesn't use it. I keep hearing about it. It's great, but now you've said it, nobody sends me emojis and things. I just thought I was lonely. But I couldn't get myself to look like myself with any of that, and I gave up. And it occurred to me, maybe this will finally do me. And as it turns out, no. Perhaps I'm just unillustratable. That's like the Ray Bradbury, the illustrated man, the unillustratable man.
You'll have to let me see one of your images, but I've thought about this a little bit, but I'll get to that in just a second. I think that speaking of emoji and this technology, I think it can meet in the middle at some point. Apple has the superpower here. Do you remember the Clips app?
Oh, yes.
I could imagine... Yeah. See, and again, it being stuck in the Clips app is a problem. Apple needs a revolution in something social. I keep bringing this up because social is so important to the younger generations. It's hugely, hugely important that social is a thing that they interact with every day, be it Discord or Snapchat or the one where you take a photo every hour at a random prompt and it uses the front and back camera. There's so many weird little social apps out there and I know we don't need an Apple travesty that was the music social ping whatever, but I think if the only way any of these tools will ever take off is if there's a social component built into the operating system like iMessage, because iMessage is still, I know it's not huge around the world, but it's still such a big thing, especially in the United States, because of its default nature, and stuff like Genmoji being in it and stickers can take off. iMessage games are huge because of how big iMessage is in the United States. So Apple allowing Game Pigeon to work that way actually took off, and it was an excellent use of the App Store in iMessage, and then it kind of fizzled out. Apple keeps missing these, finding opportunities and not fully embracing them. They really need a social component to this, because if they do it right, you could have people soon making TikTok videos with their Apple Intelligence generated avatars being overlaid on their bodies, right? Like having this Pixar character fully animated because of the 3D dot display, the Face ID components capable of capturing 3D movements in a space, the dot projector there, capable of doing that so that they can scan what you're doing, animating that on top of you using artificial intelligence to generate the image and then animate it as well, mapping it to your body and face. Like, there's so many ways that this could work out. Same thing with the video calls, right? You could have the persona-like thing in Apple Vision Pro, but everywhere and more idealized and more specifically tuned to what you want. There's just ways that this can work if they start merging these technologies, and I'm excited by the prospect of where it could go, but this is definitely a proof of concept, and I find it annoying when people look at this and scoff at it as if it's this garbage. I don't think it's meant to be anything more than a, neat. And Apple knew that going in. I mean, looking at this image now that's in the podcast artwork, it has 3 drawstrings on the hoodie. It doesn't make sense. But there you go.
I did not notice that. Oh, that's rubbish. Okay, right, well, forget it then. That's coming off the chapter artwork. Okay. I think it's incredible that anything like this can be done at all.
Right.
So I'm impressed and sometimes interested. I don't know where I sit with it.
I'll reiterate, the interesting part is it's not just random images, what people are calling AI slop, where people are generating images to replace artists or whatever, filling articles with generated images because you didn't want to pay for a copyrighted image or what have you. You can't create copyright content even if you tried. It doesn't know what Mickey Mouse is or anything like that. Whereas Copilot still generates images of Mickey Mouse smoking cigarettes if you want it to. But what's interesting here is it's totally private. It's on device or private cloud compute, but it still has access to who you or your friends are. And that is the difference between the other AI systems, because in order for the other systems like ChatGPT to generate images of you or your family or your pets, you have to give it all of your data, all of your photos, all of your information, and have it assimilate that into its algorithm so it can spit a garbage image out back at you. Apple doesn't do that. And that is the separator here. And that's why something like this, as good as it is today, I know it's bad. Let me reiterate, it's not good in that way. Like, this is not a great image. It's not usable in any way. But the fact that it could be made using my information, knowing that Apple will not use that information to train its data sets or do anything weird with it or advertise to me with it, that is the importance here. And I think it's only going to get better. This is day zero. Not even, we're beta Genmoji or Image Playground. Where is it going to be in a year? Where is it going to be in 5 years? And how is this application going to evolve and be involved in more spaces in the operating system? Will you be able to Image Playground into FaceTime, for example, in the future? I think it's cool that Apple's doing this. I understand that it's not the best images in the world. Obviously, they're kind of ugly and weird. And finally, on that note, I will say, I think I know why you don't like your images, William.
Okay. Please be gentle. Why?
Psychology. So have you ever gone and had a caricature drawn of yourself, like at an event, a carnival?
Yes, actually, once, and I liked the result.
Their job is to find parts of you that they can emphasize in order to make it a clear image of you, be it your nose or your ears or your eyes or your mouth. They emphasize different aspects of your look to capture you in a specific way. I think Image Playground is playing to that effect because it is this kind of amorphous blob of cartoon art, but then, that is actually how my ears look, or that is how my hair looks, or my eyes do that, or my teeth look that way, or whatever, right? Like, it's capturing very specific details in specific ways, but a lot of us don't like the way we look, or we have a psychological rejection of images that reflect us because it reflects the flaws that we do not like about ourselves. So that's why you can look at Angela or other people and say, wow, it captured her almost perfectly, and look at yourself and be like, I don't like that, because it's capturing parts of you that you don't necessarily like.
Actually, Angela agreed with it. She saw,
no, that's fair.
Not as much as I did, so I agree with you there. But
there's a few people like that. There's a few people I look at and I'm like, you didn't get close. But I do think that we have a psychological disposition to reject images of ourselves.
But I think also cartoonists as an event, human cartoonists, want to make you happy. So they make you look as good as they can. Right. And in my case, they tend to pick the back of my head to draw. So Playground at least isn't trying to do that. Give it that there. Well, there's still time for you to say the front of my head is fine, but okay, terrible. Moment's gone now. Right.
Of course. No, just to wrap up, 18.1 did launch to the world. Writing tools, the summaries across the system, and cleanup and memory movies are available to the public. And closing note, did you watch the new ads for Apple Intelligence?
Yes, I did. Or I think I've seen one where a woman asks, who was that person I met at some place. I thought that was highly useful. Yeah.
That was a while back, and that was for a feature that doesn't exist yet. That's not coming until 18.4. So Apple released a couple of new ads, very short, in the same space. So the I Am a Genius song that they play at the end of each ad continues. So this is part of the same ad campaign. And the first one showcases a family, some kids sitting on a couch with their father saying happy birthday, and a woman sitting in the background, and it zooms in on her and she makes this shocked look on her face like she'd forgotten his birthday. So she picks up her phone, goes to photos, and says, make a memory of the kids doing woodcrafting with their father or whatever. And while it's generating the video, she walks across the room, and by the time she hands it to the husband, the video's done and playing. And she walks away with the I Am a Genius song playing in the background. And man, is that a dark...
Yeah.
just I don't necessarily think that's a bad ad, but man, of all the ways you could showcase that particular technology, it's just very dreary. Like your life, you're this poor ragged woman who's been just destroyed by her children's, like, just
existence.
Yeah. She's just so lost in her day-to-day routine that she didn't remember her husband's birthday, and she had to rely on artificial intelligence to generate this video, this free, thoughtless video that she did nothing to earn or gain, just to pretend like she remembered her husband's birthday. It's just, good Lord. What is going on with Apple advertising lately?
The husband's got to be an Android user, because if he knows how to do this as well, that's thanks, really. But okay, could be overanalyzing now. I'm stepping into that territory again. At least she bought the phone, so put some money into that.
I think it's actually Tim Cook's birthday present that she bought the iPhone for herself and rewarded the family with the presence of Apple Intelligence. Yes.
You see, thinking of others all the time. That's what we want from our characters in adverts. Yeah.
And that ad was so striking that I've forgotten what the other ad was. So while I'm looking that up, I wanted to ask, what did you think of the No Sweat ad accompanying the MacBook announcement? It's for the M4 chip specifically, a man lifting weights, and then something happens.
Okay, I got to say, I can be very concise about this because I completely missed that altogether.
Oh,
I have no idea. Well, that really struck my conscience. Are you saying I should rush off to buy it or not? Buy it, to watch it?
You see, Freudian slip. You're going to buy that Mac
Mini. Yeah, looking likely.
The M4 chip ad features, at first, so it's a kind of a weightlifting competition. Man walks up, grabs the weights, kind of does it's a very heavy weight set, so he's kind of like putting a lot of effort into lifting it, and the coaches are like, oh, good form, and gets it to above his head. It's like, oh, yes, and then he begins to do what I would call, are you aware in gymnastics of like the ribbon dancing?
Oh, yes.
He begins to do a routine similar to that, but using the very heavy weight set. He's wearing a leotard that says M4 on it. So just signifying how simple, how powerful it is that it can just kind of pirouette with this weight set, toss it in the air, catch it, and then the end is he uses the pinky swear, where he lifts the whole weight set with just his pinky, and because it's no sweat for the M4. Go watch this ad, William. It's a whole thing. Yeah.
Not selling it to me, but okay.
No, it was better than the Apple Intelligence ads. Okay.
I learned to type on manual typewriter, so my little pinky can lift girders. I can tell you. It's gonna have to work hard to impress me there, but I will watch it. Yes.
I will forever think of Everything Everywhere All at Once, where they flex the pinky and it has a muscle. In that scene, just amazing. So I found the other AI ad, and we can end here.
Yeah,
it's Write Smarter. I forgot about it, but it is also in the same vein. So there's this guy at work sitting at his desk, and he's playing with paper clips, making whistling sounds, spinning around in his chair, and then suddenly an idea strikes him. He gets on the computer, writes an email to his boss that's kind of like, I don't know what I'm to do here with this project, but he's like, make it more professional, and it switches to the boss reading it, and he's just like emotionally charged, like, wow, like this guy's really passionate about his job, he's really excited about this project, and he's like, then he looks out the window to the guy kind of like spinning in his chair, and he's just like, really, this guy sent this email? And it did the Genius song, it's like, I'm a genius, and it's just like, I don't really know what message you're trying to send here. Like, okay, even you bums can impress your bosses with Apple Intelligence.
A thing that made me very happy was that I'm never ever going to use the make it more professional, more concise, and more friendly. Those were the options. But as you pointed this out to me, and I hadn't noticed before, now if you go into writing tools, you also have the option to say what you want it to be. So I immediately tried make it threatening. And I'm just so excited to see what this would be like. But it completely misunderstood. I mean,
it can't be violence.
Yeah, but A threatening email is supposed to be threatening to the person you're sending it to, allegedly, apparently, not to you. And the description sounded like I was threatened by whatever it was. Like, how can you be exactly opposite way around? So
That's funny.
You know.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on with the ad department. I mean, the ads sell what they're doing. It's just, I don't know. They feel kind of dark. Like you're saying humanity is this tragic thing where we forget birthdays and we're bad at our jobs, and it reminds me of it reminds me of the let Google do it, or let Google do it. Basically the whole ad campaign for Google was, you simple terrible humans who are bad at everything you do, don't worry about that anymore, just go on and breathe through your mouth in a corner, I'm going to do this for you. Like, well, that's how those ads read, and I'm worried Apple Intelligence ads are kind of, the first couple I think were fine. Examples like, who is this person at this party that I've forgotten? Okay, see, that was a good use of it for a technology that's not available yet, but cool. Like the first couple were good, but it feels like they're getting darker as we go along, and it's just like, can we steer the ship back a little bit here?
I, for one, welcome our Apple Intelligence overlords. So,
of course.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Well, that's our show this week. I hope everyone enjoyed. Of course, I haven't found any new reviews on the Apple Podcast app. I think everyone who's ever left a review has left one and will ever leave one. So we'll leave it at that. But, of course, you can always go leave a review. Let us know what you think of the show. Love it or hate it, you know. I always like I like the reviews. They tell us what we need to know if we need to improve anything, or you can always give us topic ideas or just shout out to the show, say hi. Of course, you can reach me via email or via Mastodon. I'm very active over there these days. And William, where can people find you?
Probably email's the best way. I mean, I do have a YouTube thing, and actually, as we record this, I have just crossed over 10,000 subscribers to it. It's a writing-specific podcast. Thank you. I mean, as YouTube goes, I mean, John Prosser's thing is like thousands, millions times more. I know it's a small number, but, you know, it's a big thing for me. So I'm spending a lot of time over there enjoying that. So 58 keys on YouTube is me, but direct access straight into my inbox, william@appleinsider.com, is probably the best way, and I so enjoy getting emails. So,
if you're a paid subscriber, you do not get any ads, but I would like to thank once again our sponsors, Oracle and Notion, and paid subscribers get access to Apple Insider Plus. So this week we're going to be talking about how we decide to upgrade, when we upgrade, the devices that we use and whatnot. So if you are a paid subscriber, stick around for that. We'll be back soon. Otherwise, we'll talk to you guys next week.